Hi. Hi. Hello. Hi,
Hey
everybody.
there, guys.
Okay, we're working. Okay, I just looked over on YouTube. I was worried. Hi, Lady R.
Hello there, Rico.
So this is cool. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. So you are definitely a mystery, I think, to a lot of us. Um, well, first, let me before we jump in there, let me give
Yeah,
my normal spiel again, guys.
sure.
So chat, we're not even going to be looking. I'm going to close the chat here in just a second. We're not going to see it at all. Uh, the first hour or so, Lady R and myself, we're just going to have a conversation. But the second half, we'll open up and let you guys ask questions. And if you guys happen to see somebody asking questions, please just sort of point it out to them since I won't even see the chat. I hate for people to think they're being ignored. So please just, remind them that, you know, they're not seeing the chat for now and to save those questions for later. And I see a lot of cool people already in here. Thank you guys all for joining us. And Mark Sturlson just gifted 5 memberships, as
Oh,
he is wont
Mark.
to do. He does that quite often. And thank you very much, Mark. Okay, so I'm going to close the chat. Chat is
Okay.
gone.
Yep.
Okay. Hi.
Hey there.
I think we're alone now.
Yes. I love all your little musical quips. They just crack me up every time.
It's I share that with Jason from Depths Unknown. We both
Yes.
anytime somebody says a line or we think in musical terms. We always think
Mm-hmm.
of music. And I'm not a musician. I don't know if he has any musical skills. I have no
Sure.
musical skills.
Right.
But every single time I hear a phrase that I know is a lyric, I can't help but that I got to get out of my head. Otherwise,
Oh,
it'll just
yeah.
go around
No,
in
I get
circles
it.
in my
No,
head.
it's okay. I totally get that.
Okay, so let's see. I know you live in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes. Yes. Southwest
Um,
Washington specifically.
okay, how far is that from the co-op? That seems to be our unit of measurement for the Pacific Northwest.
Right. So the co-op is in Edmonds, and I'm probably a little over 2 hours away, maybe more like 2.5 hours away or so,
Okay,
depending on traffic, of course. When you
sure.
reach like the Olympia Tacoma area, it starts to get really congested. But then once you're able to get past Tacoma, it's generally, a breeze, unless you're dealing with Seattle, of course.
And which direction are you? North of it, east of it, west of it,
I'm
of the
south.
co-op?
I'm south of the
South of the
co-op.
co-op.
Like
Okay,
I'm literally directly south.
gotcha. Okay. To be honest, I've never been to Washington or Oregon. It's one of the few places in the states I haven't been, but it's definitely on my bucket list because I think it's one of the most beautiful areas in our United States. I
I
think every
agree.
place has some beautiful areas, but I think
Mhm.
it speaks to me up there. The big trees and the mountains
Yes.
and all the water, and it's just amazing place.
I
Beautiful,
know.
beautiful place.
Yeah, I
So
can't think of anywhere else to live.
that
I
was
think the closest thing for me, if it wasn't Washington, would be Oregon. But even at that, though, I find that it's a little too arid in a lot of areas for my liking. I really like that rainforesty feel, and when you go up towards the Sound, ideally in the next year or so, I'm actually planning on moving up towards the Silverdale area and Poulsbo, that whole area. So
I don't know
that'll
where that
be
is either, but
it's
farther
just
north.
yes, it's farther up north. It's actually only a little ways away from the co-op, so it's slightly south of the co-op. And ideally, actually, I'm looking at Kingston. I think Kingston would be really nice, and that's not even that far away from the co-op. It's literally like a ferry ride across.
And why the move? You're just looking for a change, or is there a specific reason?
I just want to get the hell out of here, to be perfectly honest with
Gotcha.
you. I've been in
Gotcha.
Southwest Washington my entire life. I was born and
Okay.
raised here, and I need something different in my life. And really, there's not a lot of opportunity here, especially since I'm in an educational field. It's very stagnant. And not to get political or anything about it, but let's just say it's not a good place. So I believe that when you go further up north, there's more opportunities, and there's more like-minded people. So that's primarily the reason for the move.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Well, that was going to be my next question was, have you lived anyplace else? But you said born and raised. So
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm a local. But I think I identify more because of the kind of family that I've grown up in, with more. I don't want to be snobby when I say it, but a more affluent, perhaps a little bit more highly educated, well-rounded. But I applaud a lot of that to my mother for her being so educationally inclined. She's got her master's in education, and she's always enriched our lives with that. So that
Gotcha.
probably why, there's just a
Sure.
calling to go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
elsewhere.
I, I think you're lucky that way too. Because a lot of families don't have. I definitely did not have that, and I think people that do have that, I'm sure it's got its downside, like any other type of upbringing. But
Mhm.
I feel like it gives you an advantage and an edge in some parts of our
Yeah,
society, but having that kind of upbringing. So that's really
sure.
cool. I mean,
But
you're lucky to
yeah.
have that.
But, I also have my humble roots, in there as
Sure.
well, because my mother did not come from a highly educated family. I'm not going to talk too much about my family because, like I was telling you earlier, that's their deal. I'm trying to keep it separate, but I will say that I have humble roots as well. I grew up in the country predominantly, and I know what local people go through and their struggles and economics restraints and such. So I can identify with that. I mean, I'm hardly, rolling in the dough myself,
Yeah.
so I can look at both perspectives and kind of come to a compromise when it
Gotcha.
comes to certain viewpoints.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Humble beginnings. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely know about that. I know about
Yeah.
that for sure. We share that in common. Um,
Absolutely.
so you said that you have an educational background. Do you do
Mhm.
that for a living today? Are you
Currently, yes. Right now, it's kind of a long, convoluted story, so I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version, I guess.
okay?
I actually nearly have my bachelor's completed in psychology, and I have had to take that aside for quite a while now because I've had family members who have been very ill. They haven't been able to afford healthcare services and or didn't plan ahead. Again, I'm leaving family out of it, but the point is that I've been able to unfortunately put my education on hold, but I am able to do substitute teaching at my local school district, and so
Gotcha.
that's predominantly what I've been doing. But I also partake in my own stuff with a little business enterprise through my Etsy shop. I've been a part of several different communities and outreach programs, and just kind of doing a little bit of this and that, and just kind of surviving until, again, like I was saying earlier, better opportunities arise.
I mentioned that I wasn't going to look at the chat, but I do need to look because
Okay.
I want to see. Okay, there's a few mods in here. Um, I hate to give mods work or anything, but if you guys don't mind dropping the link for Lady R's Etsy shop, I know pretty sure it's on your fishfam.link page, right?
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yes.
And again, thank you too for donating some really cool stuff for the Fish Fam Christmas. We
Yeah,
couldn't
no
have done it
problem.
without people like you. So huge thank you for that. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's where the name came from, though, because of what you're interested in for maybe not a living, but your
Mhm.
whatever. What do you want to call it? Your vocation, your
Yeah,
calling.
vocation. Yeah,
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 yeah.
absolutely. And to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even start out as a psych major. I actually started out as a fine arts major. And just through happenstance, I happened to get involved with people, be it professors or students or what have you, that were in the psychology community. And I just fell in love with the science. I just thought it was phenomenal. And yes, a lot of people would call it probably a squishier science. It's more humanitarian social science. It's not like I'm working in particle physics by any means, but
Sure.
I find that the inner workings of the human mind to be incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
And from there it kind of developed, honestly, from just this sort of a I don't know. This vision that came into my mind of this girl, this woman, the young woman with long flowing hair, which I do happen to have. I just have it pinned up. But I would draw this scenario, and I thought, well, look at think about all these intricacies that are going on with all of these curls and waves and what have you, and could we replicate that, or I could replicate it as a Rorschach sort of image. So from there, I kind of developed that as a persona for an icon.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that way it kind of embodies both sides of me.
Yeah. I like that story because a lot of times it's like, and no offense to our friend Lefty, but it was my AOL email address, or something like that. It's just, so there's more of a story to it, and I like that.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
name as well. There's quite a story to it, which
Right.
I have a different name tonight. I decided I'm going to change my name every day and put it in a different language.
No, I know. I
So
love that. I love that feature. And I would have come up with a little subtitle at the bottom of my name, but I just wasn't feeling creative enough for that. So
I
sorry
just throw
about that.
whatever.
Sorry to
I mean,
disappoint. No, I
no, I
love
mean,
what you
look,
come up with.
brass monkey, that funky monkey. I mean, it's not like
Hmm.
it's not like it's high art or anything.
No, I know, but it adds a lot of character. I
Sure.
really like that a lot.
I like lowbrow humor. That's where I live. So anytime I
It
can
has
throw
its
something stupid,
place.
funny, stupid. That's what I
Hmm.
like. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, okay. So yeah, I drew a blank on what I was going to ask. It was something about what you said. I do this all the time now. It was something about. Let me think back. Um, okay, before you got into the teaching and the education and everything that you're
Hmm.
currently doing, what
Hmm.
other types of jobs have you done? What kind of, I mean, did you go the normal route and do
Hmm.
like fast food places and retail and things like that? Or what kind of different things have you tried?
I
And
actually
I
had the
honestly, I have no idea how old you are, and I would never ask how old you are, but, um, so I don't know, maybe you haven't had a ton of jobs.
Oh, no, I have had, a myriad of different, vocational things. Primarily, I've had the, luxury to actually work as a, computer technician for, a
Oh,
private, company. Nothing major or anything, but this, woman that happened to live in our area had a little, antique shop, and she needed somebody to help run the business online material. She wasn't well versed in that stuff, so I did a lot of that for her. But unfortunately, when the pandemic began in 2020, it kind of came to a standstill for a lot of people. So that actually was a side job that I did for a very long time. I think I started in 2014 with that job,
wow. Okay.
and I kept it up until about 2020. I did actually catch up with her again recently, because she ended up having to close her shop, and she had to go through all the rigmarole of closing down everything. And I was helping with all of the internet issues, trying to send out messages and emails and what have you. And it was somber, to definitely put it that way, especially since I had
Yeah.
been at that vocation for a while, and I got to know her really well. We kind of became friends and kind of built up a rapport. But yeah, I've done that, and I've done a lot of work primarily in education. In fact, I've spent a lot of time at a college, that I had went to, and I did a lot of work with some former professors of mine to help with integrated studies. One in particular was a war class that they did, and again, not trying to bring politics into it, but it was a political science class, and I helped with the journalism aspect that the students had to partake in, and help them know how to run the program, how to cite
Mm.
resources properly, and how to convey a convincing argument for what was going on within the quote unquote war room sessions. They kind of did it kind of like improv crossed with political science, with a little bit of sociology thrown in there for good measure. It
That
was
sounds horrible.
intense.
It
It,
sounds
it was
horrible.
intense. Oh my god, yeah. We had, oh god, the that Saturday, and it was on a Saturday of all days. I had to be there at 7:30 on campus, and it was an all-day affair where they essentially worked like news reporters. It was a simulation of sorts, and just working with them and them all panicking and falling apart and everything. And then I guess some of them were crying by the end of it because they didn't know what to do, and they didn't know exactly what it took to be in an integrated class. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I had that experience because I was in a course previous to that called Race, Class, Sex, and Gender, which if you do happen to go to a university and they offer integrated courses, take them. They're life-changing. But again, not bringing politics into it. But it's a great course. And so I had the advantage to be able to work with these students. And by the time it was all said and done, my former professors at the time, they're emailing me all of this information back saying, wow, you really did a lot to help those students, because I saw the panic button all over their faces and you kept a calm demeanor. You were able to keep them going, keep them initiated, and it worked out really well. It was a crazy, crazy Saturday, and it was super hot too. It was in June, if I remember correctly, in 2015, and it was just
Yeah.
manic, and everybody was sweating and throwing off their jackets and everything because they're running back and forth from different rooms, and it was chaos, but it was a lot of fun. It's
Just
definitely one of my
the
more memorable experiences.
just the combination of improv with political
Yes.
discourse sounds to me like a recipe for disaster.
Oh my god, yes, it was. And in fact, it got so bad that, and I hope the professor in question does not look at this recording. I highly doubt it. But he got so angry at one of the students, and he claimed that he did it out of improvisation to play a politician, but he ended up throwing a sandwich board at a poor kid. And I'm like, oh my god, come on. And I could just see this kid crying, and it was an adult, tears streaming down his face, and he was just
Yeah,
traumatized.
yeah.
Oh, it was awful in some respects, but it was also really rewarding. And I was able
I
to
was
work
gonna ask.
with, yeah, and I was able to work with a my drama professor before he retired, and that was a really nice little send off in order to be part of that, the end of his career. So that was a lot of fun.
Gotcha. So you haven't really followed like a lot of us here in the States. We sort of, when we're kids, we work either on a farm or
Hmm.
McDonald's or grocery
Yeah,
store, things like that.
yeah.
You didn't really do much of that though. You were
Hmm.
more working at the schools and things like that.
Right, right. Guess it's just because I had a natural draw for it, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest with you. And I did try applying to many fast food restaurants. And I think a lot of it was they looked at my resume and they're like, what is she asking to be here for? You need
Yeah.
to be in the higher up positions. So, anyway, that's just, I guess, how it all ended up working out. And if I may interject for a little bit, I'm also doing um, I have told people about this a little bit, but I'm actually writing a script, possibly as a pilot for a television show. It's something that I've been working on for a very long time. I've always been a writer. I've been very enthusiastic about that. And hopefully this summer I will be able to submit it. But it's been like a 5 year sort of collaboration of
Yeah.
efforts, coming up with all of these ideas. And who knows? If I end up making it big, I'll
Yeah.
give the credit to the Fish Fam.
Now, is there anything you can tell us about it? Is there anything, you probably can't go to details, but yeah, a high level overview, or is there anything, or do you need to keep it under wraps?
I would like to probably keep most of it under wraps, but I can tell you that it's kind of a dark comedy. It's got a lot of satire to it. The characters are very nuanced. There's some murder possibly that might occur. In fact, there's actually a lot of murder that probably occurs. And I think a lot of writers say it best that you are able to derive from your personal experiences when you're writing. Now, granted, I haven't, exactly been around a lot of murderers in my
I was
life
going to
or
say,
anything
I was
like
going to
that.
ask.
No, no. But as far as coming up with characteristics for people and their backstories and their motivations, I find that it's very beneficial to kind of do character studies from people that you've known, and
Yeah,
not to do a mirror image, but you're
sure.
able to take some of those attributes and say, you know what, that would be a great attribute for a character. And a lot of people that I've known actually have become kind of inspirations for things. And yeah, just to clarify, yeah, some of the people in the Fish Fam, you've given me some inspiration. But nobody dies. Nobody dies on this end.
Oh,
I wouldn't do that to you guys. No,
well, we
not at
can do
all.
better. We can do better. I mean, we can find somebody to sacrifice, I'm sure, if
Oh
if you
no,
need
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no,
If you
no.
need that, I mean, we can,
Oh no, that's
I'm sure
not
we can up our
necessary.
game a little bit.
Nah. No, you guys are doing just fine. You guys are perfect. I
uh,
would never kill any of you guys off in a show or anything at all.
really?
No, not at
We
all.
we
Not at all.
differ. We differ there. We differ there. That's one thing we half of
Oh,
these people would be gone. Probably like the first
oh
day
my
we'd be on a bus.
gosh.
We'd be on a bus or something and
Oh,
would, it would go underwater though, so at least water is involved, a lot of fish underwater,
right. Oh yeah,
picking at
sure.
bones and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're sleeping with the fishes, for lack of a better
Yes.
term.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
exactly.
would
Oh
definitely
dear
keep it
Lord.
on topic. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously you don't know timeline with those types of things, right? But
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
hoping within the next few years. When did you say that you would be able to submit?
I'm actually hoping on submitting it to a contest this summer.
Okay. So once it's submitted, will you
hmm
give us more details about it?
If it actually goes through and somebody decides to pick it up, yes, absolutely.
Okay. But
Because I
but
gotta have
that
people that want to tune in. And
yeah.
if anyone wants to be a guest star, I might be able to, shake the directors up a little bit and say, "Hey, come on, I gave you all this material. Can you
Yeah.
get some of my buddies in on this? They need a little bit of showbiz." Exactly.
Excuse me. Oh, that's funny. Wow, my
Oh
face
no,
is
you're
red.
fine.
It looks
Oh,
weird.
it's
What's
not
going
that
on
red
with
to me.
it looks weird to me. It looks like my face is swollen. Maybe it's just my
Mm,
camera. That's weird. It's the first time I looked at it and even my eyes look weird. Am I having a stroke?
mm, I don't think so.
That's weird. And anyway, sorry. I not even gonna look at it.
Oh no, you're
Um
fine. No, you're fine.
it just my face looks different to me. I don't know what's going on. It looks like it's swollen. Michelle,
Mm. I was just
make
about to
sure I'm
say maybe
okay.
we should get Michelle in on this one.
I just gotta have her look on there. Sorry,
Sure.
I know you guys maybe you don't see it, but my I'm seeing weirdness.
No, no, you got to take care of yourself, Rico. That's what's most important.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Take your time.
Okay. Oh, she heard me. She said she must be listening because she said I'm okay. I just looked weird to me. I don't know why. My face just looks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, I'm back. Um, and that just totally distracted me too. Maybe I should not have my camera up so I can see it either. Maybe I just from now on just hide that so I just hear people. I get
Oh,
distracted
sure,
by
sure.
myself.
Whatever works for
That,
you is
that's a
fine with
weird.
me.
That's a weird thing. Okay, so uh, let's switch gears a little bit. Oh, falling
Sure.
apart here. Let's talk about hobbies, stuff you like to do in
Mhm.
your spare time, just for fun, though, just for fun. Because
Oh,
I
sure.
feel like
Sure.
I have a feeling that your hobbies, uh, a lot of times I play video games and I'm not really getting much out of it other than relaxing,
Mhm.
right? I'm not, but
Right,
I feel like
right.
your hobbies are something that you get more out of it. Like you
Sure.
do these hobbies for a specific reason. But
Right.
walk us through some of the things that you like to do in your spare time.
So, I mean, I think the good thing about a lot of these hobbies that I'm into is that they kind of interconnect with one another. So, for instance, with my writing, it's another form of art, as opposed to the stuff that I've been able to do on my Etsy stuff. Primarily, with Etsy at the moment, I'm doing a lot of jewelry making. I've been trying to make some handmade items. I would love to sell prints because I did start out as a traditional artist, working with charcoals and pastels and canvas and all of that. So that's going to be an endeavor that I'm going to look into for monetary gain, but it's also just something that I thoroughly enjoy just doing.
Gotcha.
Definitely anything involving the arts. I love music. I'm not musically inclined, unfortunately, to play an instrument,
Okay.
although I've always wanted to play an instrument. But I just thoroughly enjoy listening to symphonics, and pretty much anything really in regard to music. The only limitation I have for music is I'm kind of a fan, and rap just doesn't do it for me. 90s rap is fine, but I find
Yeah.
that anything post 2000 rap, I can't get into it. There's just too much.
Yeah.
of the derogatory nature. And sure, you know, you could spin it on its end and say, well, this is the narrative that this person is getting across. But when we're starting to get demeaning to women in particular, I can't get into that.
Sure.
No,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that. But I can respect the craft and where it comes from, so long as, I guess, ultimately it's not harming others. But otherwise, yeah, throw me a genre and I probably like it. And I have my favorites, of course. So I do listen to a lot of music. My animals are a really big part of my life, to be perfectly honest
About
with
the
you.
music.
So whether it's
Before we
staying on
before we
topic
get
here, the
into
fish
the
keeping. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
before we get into the
Sure,
animals, um, music. Pick
sure.
one genre that you could listen to all day, every
Yes.
day. Which one would that be? What would you like to listen to? If let's
That's a
say there's
hard
only
one.
one
That
style of music.
mm, I don't know if I could really choose one, to be perfectly honest with you. I know that's a cop out, but it's just so hard for me to choose one. I will say, if I had to narrow it down to three, I could probably give you three. I love a lot of Celtic European style music.
Okay.
So like Lorena McKennitt. I adore that vibe. I guess it's just getting in touch with my heritage somehow. I love symphonic metal. So things like Nightwish, Evanescence, kind of borderlines on alternative rock to symphonic metal, especially their Synthesis album that they released in recent years. I love that to death. And then probably a lot of score music, a lot of orchestral arrangements, like Myrtle's work, for
Oh,
instance. I
yeah. I was going to
thoroughly
mention that.
enjoy orchestral stuff. I
Yeah.
enjoy it a lot. And Myrtle actually was so kind enough to help me put together an intro and outro for my future live streams. And
Nice.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to implement that and to also showcase other people's work. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. He's a very talented young man for sure. Yeah. And he
Very
made a
much
song
so.
for me as well. And I just never found a use for it for whatever reason. I probably because I feel like my stuff doesn't live up to his stuff. You know, it needs something decent to put it, and I
Right.
don't put a lot of effort into it. You know,
Right.
so
No,
um,
I know. I get that. I get it. I feel the same way. You know, I'm looking at doing, you know, a live stream that's a little bit more on the current issues and socio-political impacts in the fish keeping world. That's going to be my main surface level stuff for the live streams. And maybe, you know, once in a while just sprinkle in some fun ones. Danny from Glassbox Heroes is going to help me come up with kind of a poppy sort of fun little opening for those particular live streams. But I know what you're saying. I want to make sure that what content I'm going to deliver is going to also deliver to the
yeah,
incredible work that Myrtle has created.
yeah, very talented young man, very talented.
Very much.
Okay, so you were heading towards the animals. That was next. We talked about
Yeah.
hobbies and stuff, and then I interrupted
Yeah.
you. So,
Yeah.
and I know
Oh
you've
no, you're
got a
fine.
couple of dogs. What
Y-
you got a couple of dogs, right?
I've got four actually.
4 dogs. Okay,
I've got four dogs, eight cats, and two of the fish tanks have inhabitants in them, but I have five altogether. And I've got a rabbit, and I've raised chickens most of my life. But unfortunately, right now there's no chickens, just
gotcha.
because the infrastructure that we had in place for them is starting to deteriorate and fall apart. And if I plan on moving in the foreseeable future, it just doesn't make sense to set up roots for them and then transport them. So as soon as I'm able to move up north, though, I'm getting me some chickens. I miss
Yeah,
my chickens so much. Between the fact of just having eggs and just having another live animal around, I think that that's very, very pleasant to see,
yeah.
and something outdoors.
My oldest son has chickens, and they absolutely love them. His soon to be wife, his fiance,
Mm.
just really took to them, and she just absolutely adores them and loves them, and
Oh,
they're like their kids. You know, they
yeah,
so I guess they're very very personable, and she, you know,
they
each one's
are.
got different personalities, and um,
Yes.
she just absolutely loves dealing with them day in and day out. So
Oh, yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I can attest to that. Every chicken I've ever had a name and has its own personality and quirks and what have you, and they're just as personable to me as a dog or a cat. And
yeah,
speaking of dogs, I've actually got to get Ruthie
Okay.
and
Yeah,
Ruth
yeah.
to come on camera for you. So hold on one second.
Good.
Like I said, I am literally only a couple feet away. Okay, Rue.
Okay.
Hi, Rue. You want to say hi? Come here, Rue. And Cosmo comes up too. Okay.
Oh,
Come here, Rue. There's the
that
youngest
one's
one. There's Ruthie.
Australian Shepherd, right? Oh, they both are,
Mi-
right?
yeah, mini Aussies, Cosmo and Ruthie. They're
Uh-oh. I think they might have pulled a cord. We lost your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. You're back. Oh, now we lost you again. It worked for just a second. Oh,
Can you hear
say
me
something
now?
now. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I won't
Now
invite
you're
the dogs up then.
good.
But you saw
Oh,
Ruthie. Cosmo,
yeah.
come on. You can sit up here. There's Cos.
Oh, hey, Cosmo.
Yeah, he's the one that I know gets excited when you were saying his name. You're okay, Cos. Yes. You're a good
Oh.
boy. All right. Get
Now,
down.
I wonder
Right.
if Wally will get hairier like that. Like he doesn't really have, he's
Mm-hmm.
very sleek. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's very, very sleek. And he's I mean, there really isn't any difference between the minis and the regular size, really, right? I mean, you can breed them together and you never know what you're gonna get, right? Even if you
Right.
breed two minis together, you don't know what you're gonna get, right?
And
So
that's the funny thing about it because my other dog Nellie, who is not on camera because she's cranky and weighs over 100 pounds, she's actually half Aussie and a quarter mini Aussie, but you wouldn't know that looking at her.
yeah,
But she was a
yeah.
rescue, so we ended up doing the genetics with her for that reason. But you're right, you can technically breed the two together. I wouldn't recommend that just because they are distant enough from each other to where you'd get a midi, I guess, is what you would end up getting. In fact, we consider Cosmo a midi, even though he's a mini, because
Mini
his
mini.
dad was exceptionally large for a mini Aussie.
Got you. Well, Wally's dad was a full size and his mom was a mini. So he is,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he is
I
a
see.
crossbreed. But he's just so much more. His fur hasn't really. It's just barely starting around his neck. It's starting
Hmm.
to fluff out more. But
Yes, yes.
he's just very sleek compared to
Hmm.
other. And I don't mean the body, just the
Sure.
fur. The fur really hasn't plumped up like you see in most of the other ones.
Right.
And he's
And
full blood. I mean, I've seen the parents. They
yeah.
so it's just I wonder if he will or if he'll always be that thinner fur.
Hmm. To be perfectly honest with you, I see that as a variation with herding dogs in general and not just in Aussies. I find that in border collies as well and German shepherds as primary examples. You will find that some of them have a sleeker coat and a fluffier coat than others. And with the males, like you were saying with Wally, he's going to develop that mane naturally because that is a predominantly male trait. You have to
Gotcha.
kind of breed it into the females a little bit more. So I would imagine that he would probably get a little bit more fluff on him, but he may just have more of that streamlined, sleek
Yeah.
look to him. And they
Yeah.
even vary in body types. I mean, if you really take a look at Cosmo and Ruthie, Ruthie is very stocky, like your atypical Aussie, very boxy in her proportions. Whereas Cosmo is actually very athletic in his build. He has a very pronounced chest and a very
Yeah.
tight stomach in the back, and his butt isn't as big as some Aussies. He's more of an athlete. He's more athletic in his
Yeah.
build, and
Wally
it
too. He's
definitely shows.
very deep chest. Yeah, same thing.
Mhm.
But of course he's just 6 months old tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's still who's we don't know where he'll end up, right? It's still too early to
absolutely.
tell. Yeah, he's got a
Oh
long
yeah,
way to go.
he's just starting his adolescent period. So that'll go from 6 months to 2 years with
I
adolescents.
tell you.
These guys are almost 2 and they'll technically be adults, but personally I find that most dogs they don't fully reach maturation until about 3 years of age. Really? Dude, come on. I know you're playing.
I tell you, the last few days, though, not to get too off, but
Sure.
Wally's been a dick. He's just the last few
Oh,
days.
yeah.
He's not listening. He's giving me a look. He
Mhm.
gets a look in his
Mhm.
eyes, and he's
Yes.
doing it on purpose. And
Oh, yeah.
he's just he's pushing.
Yep.
It's all right. I understand what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's frustrating for everybody else because he just does not listen to everybody else like he does me.
No,
I say
I get
something
it.
to him and he listens,
Yeah.
but everybody else not near as much, and so they get a little bit
Mhm.
more. I have to be the one. Even
Mhm.
my chair makes some noise, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll hear them say something, Wally, no, and I'll just turn around in my chair in here, and he'll hear it
Mhm.
and stop what he's doing and
Mhm.
just sit, and he knows I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah,
So
exactly. No, he knows. He knows that you're the
yeah,
boss. And
yeah,
I really do have to tell you, the minute they hit that 6-month age, especially with herding dogs, that's when they become dicks. They
yeah,
really do, or assholes or bitches or whatever you want to call them, whatever
yeah,
derogatory
yeah.
term you want to call them, because they're teenagers. They
Yeah,
literally
yep.
just become teenagers
That's
and the
it. You could
hormones
see
start
it.
kicking in. Ugh,
Yeah,
and yeah, especially with the herding dogs, because I've done my fair share of it. I've raised 4, 5 herding dogs in the last 10 years. Most of them are rescues. These guys are the only pedigrees I've ever really had.
mm,
And that was just because at the time we're looking at getting a dog. The Humane Society that we had down here and a lot of the rescue organizations just didn't have anything that was really applicable for what we were looking for. Really, dude? Sorry.
no,
And
no,
so
that's
that's
good.
why we ended
I
up
like
with
it.
these guys. And the only reason I ended up going pedigree with these guys is because their breeder um, was somebody that I was able to communicate with and had very clear discourse with. And she had been actively breeding for over 40 years. And she knew
Gotcha.
exactly what she was doing, pure bloodlines. Like I ran the gamut with her to make sure, there was health screening checks going on and all of this other stuff. So
Yeah.
that was the only reason I ended up going for that. Otherwise, I am a very pro adoption person, as long
Yeah.
as people can handle the ramifications of what a rescue dog requires, because it is
Yes.
a little
And
different.
I'm with you. And most of our dogs throughout the years have been rescues,
Hmm.
either from families directly who just couldn't handle them anymore,
Yeah.
didn't want them or whatever, or
Hmm.
through the pound or rescue the shelter, whatever.
Hmm.
But this time I wanted a puppy, and
Yeah.
I did look. I spent a few months looking at the shelters and stuff, and I've had this discussion online quite a bit. I was very disappointed
Yes.
in how much some of the rescues were
Uh.
asking for just regular
Hmm.
dogs, mutts.
Yeah.
Basically, they were asking like $800 for
Yeah.
not even a purebred dog, and it didn't seem like
Hmm.
it was a rescue to me. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of us have had conversations about why and when and whatever. It's still,
Hmm.
Mhm.
but I just happened. Wally fell into my lap.
Yeah.
It just worked out perfectly, and I was not looking for a medium-sized dog like that. I really wanted a smaller dog,
Right.
but it was the right choice though, because now he's my buddy, and I
Oh, yeah.
absolutely adore that dog.
Yes.
He's
I
he's
know.
a
I
great
totally
dog.
get
So.
it. Yeah, because he's a lot like that as well. He's my shadow all the time. But yeah,
Yeah,
oh, Ruthie, really? But no, I agree with you on that. In fact, I know when we had initially started talking about you looking into getting another dog, I remember mentioning that in chat that, a lot of the rescue organizations anymore, if I want to call them rescue organizations, it feels like they're just churning them out no different than a puppy mill would. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you're taking dogs that are in, crisis situations, but a lot of these dogs I find that they're charging 700, $800 to acquire. They're being shipped from God knows where, like
yes,
Texas or
yep,
Florida or Michigan or whatever. And the dog hasn't been quarantined and there's no contact with the dog prior. So you have no idea about the personality. You're purely just going off of a picture. And I
yeah,
understand, though, that there are scenarios where these are crisis dogs or they've been rescued from, inhumane situations and you don't get that luxury. But to me, even at that, though, a reputable rescue is going to take the time to bring a dog to their facility, be able to rehabilitate it, go through quarantine, do a full psychological examination, which is what I would love to do, is do behavioral psychology. That's my long-term thing, and work with animals, in particular canines. That's my specialty. Um
nice. Awesome.
And just fully rehabilitate them to the best that they can be for a family and make sure that they're well adjusted to their home. That is when think the cost would go up, because you're
Sure.
looking at all of the psychological care,
Sure.
the veterinary care, transport, all of that. But
Yeah.
just to do it that way, it's a dirty hand for both the dog and for the prospective owner, in my opinion.
Yeah. It whatever. It's just good that most of these dogs are finding good homes, but not even so.
Absolutely.
Even like the ASPCA, they have all these strict
Hmm.
rules. A lot of times, those dogs come back because people just can't deal with them. So
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. We should get away from this. Let's get away from this because we're gonna
Yeah,
get people.
I know, and dogs are a controversial topic. I know,
I
but
I
I don't mind getting in the dirt a little bit with people, because the biggest thing I look at when it comes to anything, whether it's looking at welfare of animals in general, also could attribute this to fish keeping as well, is that education is the number one facet to help people either succeed or fail. If you're not going to give people the proper tools that they need in order to properly facilitate a healthy environment for anything, and I'm ranging everything from a house plant to a child, then you have no business with that. It's just you're not cut out for it. And
yeah.
I just don't think we do enough screening for that. But anyway, let's go back to something a little more lighthearted.
Yes, yes. Um, let's see. Did we cover all the hobbies? Do we cover all the stuff? What about reading? Do you ever read
Oh,
just for
yes.
fun? Just for fun.
Yes. Yes, I do. I have
And
reading for fun as well as reading for informational stuff and research. Yeah.
when you're just for fun, you
Yeah.
just want something lighthearted and to take your mind off of things. What kind
Mhm.
of things do you like to read?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, it kind of ranges, because I'm not the biggest light-hearted reader.
Okay.
I find that fluff doesn't do it for me. I need something that has a little bit of meat and connective tissue to it.
Well,
So
I understand there's a lot of meat in this one, but I don't know
yes.
about connective
Oh,
tissue.
not
But
that kind. Ah, no, no.
that's not
Oh God, no,
that's not what you
no,
meant. I,
no, 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 no,
I
no,
know.
no.
I know.
No, no. I find that you have to have, if you're doing fiction, you have to have characters that are engaging and a plot that's also equally as engaging with decent enough prose. I guess what I would say is that I'm pretty picky when it comes to reading. um
Gotcha.
I primarily love the classics, and it's very hard for me to find a modern writer that I really like in fiction, just because it's so hard to find somebody who uses, correct tenses and prose and things that are interesting and, and not relying on cliches. So I would say if there was one author in particular that I've liked at the moment, it would be Anne Patchett. I highly recommend her work because she kind of does a variety of different things. Like, she'll write one minute, she'll be writing about this woman who goes into the Amazon to look for fertility drugs to help women in need. And then the next minute, she's doing this sort of little noir where there's an opera that takes place. And then after the opera, everybody is kidnapped by these South American guerrilla fighters. And it varies on a spectrum. And then there's one about a magician and the secrets that he leaves behind. It's not just one particular niche that she stays in. So I believe that's why I find her to be fairly engaging. I mean,
I would
there's others that could come off the top of my head, but I just can't think of them at the
she
moment.
sounded she sounded super familiar to me, so I wanted to look her up really quick, but I have not
Yeah.
read anything by her except maybe Magician's Assistant. That sounds
Yes,
familiar.
Magician's Assistant. Yes, that was one of hers. Yes. I highly recommend Bel Canto. That one is really good, especially if you really enjoy a lot of musical reference,
Oh,
especially to the classical extent, and just the character dynamics. I mean, personally, I feel like that should have been made into a film. I could see someone like Wes Anderson, in particular, as a director, taking Bel Canto and making it into a film and making it highly stylized with all of these
yeah.
quirky, eccentric characters, but also have a little bit of like this melancholy tone to it. So she would be one that I would be a very big fan of. There's, like I said, there's other fiction writers, but I'm just not coming up with them off the top of my head. But
Gotcha.
I also love nonfiction a lot as well. Um, Lots of earth science based stuff. I'm a huge paleontology nerd. Anything with ecology, biology, and then to deviate into the humanitarian aspects, sociology, psychology, all of that stuff. I read it for fun. I really like it. Susan Cain is an author in particular that I have really enjoyed. Her book Quiet and her book Bittersweet are both really interesting, in-depth looks into how introverts work. And as an introvert myself, believe me, I am an introvert despite all my talking. It's a facade that I put on.
I
Um,
understand. I
but
get it. Yeah.
but I really thoroughly enjoyed not only the research aspect but the analogies that she would put into her works. And Bittersweet is the same way, where people kind of live in a melancholy mood all the time and are drawn to tears very easily by things. And I feel like I actually identify with a lot of that as well. There was actually a test that was corresponding with that, and of course I was all the way up here, while some people are, more down here, and that's fine. We need that diversity. But I like the
Sure.
idea that she's able to extrapolate from people's what we would deem as weaknesses and actually look at them as positive aspects. So if
Gotcha.
anyone's interested in some introspective stuff, skip Marianne Williamson. I mean, I love her. She's great, but I would check out Susan Cain. If you are into Marianne Williamson's works, I would definitely look at Susan Cain.
I honestly know neither one of them. Is Cain spelled
Cain.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Bible. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to add that to the list here.
Oh, sure.
And of course, I spelled it wrong the first time, so I got my cocaine.
Oh.
My cocaine.
Oh,
See,
no, you're fine.
Michael Caine. Obviously,
Yes,
everybody
Michael
knows
Caine.
it.
Yes.
But when you say his name,
yes,
you say my cocaine.
yes,
Michael
I
Caine.
know.
That's how you say his name,
Geez.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Somebody said that years to me years ago, and I can never ever see his name without saying it. Michael Caine.
Right. You can't you can't disassociate from that.
Yeah,
No, I get that.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. We're almost done with the first segment. So is there anything we didn't dip into that you'd like to tell us about yourself? Something that
Well, I guess just to add into the hobby stuff, I love film and television, and I love animation in particular. But I do thoroughly enjoy a really good miniseries that's very engaging, true crime, documentaries of all sorts. I'm a big PBS fan. Frontline, Nova, Nature, all of that stuff. And I was watching that stuff when I was a kid, when I was very young.
no
I mean,
violence.
I would just watch Scientific American Frontiers with Alan Alda on a Saturday afternoon with my sandwich in tow or whatever, and just be in my room, close myself off, and just watch that for a while. And I was one of those weird kids also. I don't know if anyone else did this, but I watched the nightly news by myself when I was 10. That would be my ritual. It would be okay, the PBS Kids shows are over. Okay, after Arthur is done, I got to watch nightly news. And I was just one of those weird kids, I guess. I don't know. I love all that stuff. I don't know. So maybe that's why I'm a frontline junkie. I don't know.
Nova, Cosmos,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I wasn't a kid, but I always loved watching those. Anything to do with nature was always my place. That's where I've always lived. Is that anything to do with those? I could watch those. Even like the David Attenborough. Richard.
Yes.
David Attenborough.
David. Yeah,
his
Richard
brother
was
Richard
the actor.
Yeah. My cocaine. I'm still looking. I gotta close that. Let's get rid of that. Okay. I got distracted again.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. So now's a good time. I'm going to bring up the chat. Let's say hello.
Okay.
And the dingy ding thing went off there too.
Hey,
there it was right there. Let's see. Mike, what's that? Did you say something? I'm sorry.
Hi to chat. No, I was just saying hi to chat.
Let's see. So Mark Stilson, member for 13 months, been here a while. And then Dee Dee, woohoo, me too, Mark, member for 14 months. And then Eduardo, a
Nice.
year. And Craig's Catfish Cave says, not me, just 3 months. But hey, Craig, I still appreciate every single part of it.
You
Um,
guys are all
so
awesome.
that's amazing that it's weird to me that it's already been 14, 15 months. So um,
Mhm.
the very first question I see is from Jen Yu.
Okay.
And she says, please ask Lady R, if she can add a scene to the script she's working on where Eduardo is Jennifer Grey and I am Patrick Swayze. And I
Oh
put him in the
my
corner.
god. Oh my god. Yes. Yes. I might be able to squeeze that in. It might just be like a subtle thing that happens in a scene, but yes. Yes, we can do that. We can do that.
That's
It's a
beautiful.
quirky enough show that I could get away with that.
And hello, everybody, too. I see there's actually 75 people watching right now. So thank you all for coming in and hanging out with us. Dolbeck is next up. And Dolbeck, I'm going to send you an email. Dolbeck's been on the list for the Focus On for like 2 years now. So we got to get that done soon, Dolbeck.
Yeah.
But he wants to know your favorite public aquarium memory.
Public aquarium memory. Okay. That would probably be down in, I think it was in Newport, Oregon, if I remember correctly, or it was in Lincoln City. It was somewhere in that area. And I remember going in there, and it was this dark, cavernous sort of um, room that was in, and the only lights that you could see on were just obviously in the tanks themselves. And there was this giant Pacific octopus that literally just came up right to the glass in a very curious manner. And, his or her tentacles just kind of graced against the glass. And it was just a really mesmerizing scene. And I've always found cephalopods very intelligent and fascinating creatures anyway. So, in a weird way, it was almost like there was a little bit of kinship that you had with an equally intelligent creature, even though it's alien by our standards. So, that's probably the most memorable thing that I recall.
Gotcha. Good one. Good one. I don't know. I don't remember ever going to a public aquarium. I don't remember. I'm sure I have, but I just don't remember it. Next up is from our buddy Mark, and he wants
Hey,
to
Mark.
do the Myrtle question.
The Myrtle question. All right. All
You
right.
know what that is. You know what the Myrtle question is.
Yes, but for the folks at home, go ahead and repeat that.
So the Myrtle question is, and Myrtle has been asking this. His question might have been the very first reoccurring, a guest star on the show type of question. And his
Hmm.
question is, what would you, Lady R, change
Hmm.
about me, and what would I change about you? And I actually have one this week. I
Okay.
actually have
All right.
one.
All right. Lay it
But
on me.
I what I would change about you is that your family that you I don't want to say been hindered by because it's family,
Hmm.
right? And I can tell
Yeah.
that you're very close to family, but
Sure.
um,
Not always by choice, though.
I would say I wish that they would sort of let you go a little bit more and let you go
Yeah.
off and do those things that to help you continue
Mhm.
on with your own life instead of
Mhm.
being held back. Because it sounds
Yeah.
like, be honest, it sounds like your extended family is sort of holding you back a little bit right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I agree with you 100%. And that's why there's certain measures, not again to bring it up too much, but it's getting to the point where it's like something needs to be done. We can't keep doing this sort of thing anymore. And there are actions being taken to remedy the situation because I agree with you 100%. And as far as something that I would change about Rico, there's really not a lot that I can come up with because Rico is a wonderful guy. I think he's awesome. But I would say I know it's probably a cop out, but a lot of people have said this. I wish that your health was a little bit better. I would wish that for you, that you would be able to attend more events and you would be able to feel more comfortable with travel and such, because we love you and we would love to see more of you.
Thank you.
We'd love to have you at Fishtoberfest, and I know you go to the Clash fairly regularly, or if you want to go to an Aquashella or some of even these smaller little niche aquarium clubs, like maybe the Greater Pacific one in Portland. That would be really nice. So that would probably be my answer.
And Mitch, who was our guest on
Yes.
Saturday, Scruffy City. Now, after the
Yes.
after the show was over with, we had some conversation, and he brought up a point to me that I maybe I was looking at it the wrong way because his understanding of that question is that going forward. So we wouldn't
Mhm.
change anything that's happened in the past. Like I always say, I wouldn't want to take away
Mm.
something from somebody that is helped create who they are today, but going forward. So
Right.
that's how he
Right.
put it too. So he went because I do think that having some health issues and things have made me be a little bit more understanding of other people, a little bit more empathetic and everything. So
Mhm.
that's the positive side of it.
Yeah.
It's made me a better person. Um, so
Sure.
he wouldn't want to change that, but like a line drawn in the sand and going forward, oh, I don't have it anymore. So it didn't really change me as a person, and that's a good way to look at it.
Right.
And by
Yeah,
looking
I
at it that
agree.
way, then it opens up the question a little bit more. And so I was looking at the question a little bit too close-minded. So
Yes.
Mitch sort of, he sort of opened it up a little bit more. So
Yeah,
okay,
Mitch is a great guy, and I always love to hear his perspectives on things.
it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Crypt Keeper, what's up? That's my neighbor there. If money wasn't an issue, all expenses paid, where would you travel, and what would you go do for a whole year, and why?
Mm. That would be a hard one for me. I would definitely consider traveling throughout Europe, in particular the UK, so Scotland, Ireland, England, going up even north into Sweden, really getting in touch with my roots. I think that would be an incredible experience. And I do feel that yearning, especially when I watch a lot of British TV, which is something I neglected to mention. I'm a huge British television fanatic.
Gotcha.
I feel that kinship, and to actually be there and to immerse myself into where my forebearers came from. I think that would be a very enriching and wholehearted and humbling experience. So that would be one possible venue. But the other one that is uh, a total different situation would be in South Africa. I would
Hmm.
love to go in like Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, those areas, just to be part of a wildlife program to help biologists and to really get in touch with the animals themselves and to actually, again, kind of a humbling experience of sorts is to get in touch with where it started at all for humanity, the cradle of our own evolution. I think that that would be very fascinating. And there's a lot of interesting fossil beds out there. You go to the Karoo Basin in South Africa. In Tanzania, they've got certain beds as well, where they found, Brachiosaurus, now known as Giraffatitan. Big long story with the dinosaur stuff. I didn't even tell everybody I'm a big freaking dinosaur fan.
No, no, we didn't.
I did
We
mention the
didn't.
paleontology stuff,
Yeah.
and by all means, ask me my favorite prehistoric animal, ice age mammal, dinosaur, whatever. I'll probably give you an answer for that. But the point is that I feel that connection with our earthly origins. And the same thing actually applies to Australia as well. So it's really hard for me to choose between those three places, but I love them all. It would be Australia, parts of Africa, or that northern section of Europe.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Or just do a
Okay.
round trip and do all three of them. I'll cheat.
Hey, he says you got a year and
Yeah, yeah,
all expenses paid. So, yeah, you could do that. You could spend, 4 months in each place.
yeah.
Let's see. Next up is Zenny. Hi, Zenny. Would
Zen!
you would you rather craft 1,000 necklaces for any event
Mhm.
or speak publicly at a crafting event?
Mm.
Both with only 1 week's notice.
Oh, wow, wow. Well, my
Yeah.
hands would probably be kaput with the necklaces, but at the same time, as much as I craft and everything, I don't really see being able to discuss it that much because I find that when it comes to any sort of artistic form, it's very hard to lecture about it. I find that it's more of a natural process that you acquire and you just kind of experiment with things. So even though my hands would hate me and I would hate myself for it, I probably would go with the former.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all forms of art are very subjective that way, and that's why when people say, you're dumb for liking a certain band or certain movie or something, that's just you can't do that. You just can't.
No,
It's it speaks to you in different ways, and yeah, it's just all artwork is like that. I think.
I
Okay,
agree.
next up is Bunny Viper, and this is her regular. And that was Zenny's too. Most of these questions so far have been regular ones we get week in and week out, and
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I really like it. And hi,
Hmm.
Ivy. Ivy wants to know her question
Ivy,
is
my soul
fly,
sister.
fly or invisibility. Would you rather fly or be invisible?
I would probably fly. I think,
Yeah,
we've mentioned it in chat several times. Invisibility to me just screams creeper. And I'm just not like that. But, if
yeah,
I had to actually cheat, though, and choose something other than flying, it'd probably be some sort of a telepathy. That would actually be my ideal superpower. But if I had to
gotcha.
choose between the two, it definitely would be
Yeah,
flying.
yeah. I think most people pick that one. So far, I think everybody, right,
Hmm.
Ivy? I think everybody has. And there's Coral. Coral's up next. If you could attempt any world record, this is a good one. What would you go
Mm.
for and why? I like that. That's a good question.
Oh, that is an interesting question. I'd have to think about that one. If I had,
It's
complete,
tough.
if I had complete income that was expendable, probably the number of dogs or cats or animals that I would be able to rescue, rehabilitate, and either rehome or have a sanctuary built upon that. And that is actually a dream goal of mine. Not as a world record, but I would love to be able to have that as a dream one day, is to have my own sanctuary where they feel comfortable, especially for animals that that you couldn't probably rehome as well. At least you would offer them a good place for the rest of their years. But
Yeah,
definitely something like that. Yeah, probably being able to help with joint rescue efforts and with my name attached to it, adopt out or rescue as many animals as humanly possible. And that's not
good. I
just
like that one.
mammals. That's not just mammals like dogs or cats. I'm talking about like
Yeah,
fish. I'm talking about reptiles, farm animals, anything like that.
I like that one. And I don't know what I would do. That's a good question, Cora. I like it.
Hmm.
Craig's catfish, and again, do the at Rico stand for me. I just happen to see Craig's because normally it wouldn't pop out. Uh, what's your favorite fish from Craig?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one,
How
because there's
about
so
what's your
many of them
favorite?
that I like.
What you currently have? Maybe that'll make it easier. What's your
Sure.
favorite of what you currently
W
have?
Well, I can answer probably in a couple of different ways. I could also, mention dreamfish, which would technically be, like, my favorite fish or the magnum opus, and that would be a red wolffish, erythrinus, I believe is the scientific name. Dr. Anthony has them, and I just fell in love with them because they kind of look archaic. They have a prehistoric quality to them. They almost kinda look like a mini Dunkleosteus. If you don't know what a Dunkleosteus is, look it up. It's essentially this big armored fish that has jaws that are literally like bolt cutters. It's a very fascinating animal to look at. As far as favorites that I currently have in the tank, it would probably be my orange Venezuelan corridors. I adore them, but I'm a Cory fan. Close second would probably be my Betta, because she would hate me if I said it wasn't her, because she is the most personable of my fish. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I've always had Bettas. That was something I never even got to mention, is that what got me into the hobby were Bettas. But I think that's a very common introduction for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had them when I was a kid. I had one or two when I was a kid, and I actually didn't know anything about them and had them in a community tank.
Hmm.
We're talking early 70s,
Hmm.
um, like 71, 72, and
Hmm.
had them with some angelfish and some
Oh
guppies.
wow,
And yeah, they did not,
wow.
it did not do too well. And
Mm,
I did move it out after a certain amount of time, but I had no idea. And
yeah.
the store never told me anything
Oh,
so.
sure. I know, and I think
Uh,
that's a common advent with prior to having internet, that a lot of people just went off of just knowledge of he said, she said, testimonials, rather than always having the concrete science, unless you had the luxury of knowing an expert or you were able to read an article on it.
yeah. And I was I was pretty young, but that's still no excuse. That was my own failing because that information was out there, just wasn't
Mhm.
as easy to find. And I
Yeah.
could have, I did read a couple of books. I was going to the library all the time and getting books about fish.
Mhm.
So I could have done more research before I got it. So ultimately it was my own responsibility. I'm not trying to pass
Sure.
the buck by any means. Jeremy's
Sure.
got a great question. I love this
Okay.
question.
Okay,
He
just give
wants
me
to
1
know.
second. Let me
Sure.
put Ruthie up first, and
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah,
right
no
there.
problem. No problem.
She does
No
this.
problem. Yeah, that's all right.
She does this. It's an in and out game several times a day.
It's nice that you can do that, though. We don't have anything fenced, so when
Mhm.
Wally wants to go out, he's on a leash because I
Yeah.
haven't been able to train him. We don't have any place close by where I can take him off and let him just
Mhm.
run. And I know he would
Right.
love that. So this
I
summer,
know.
I'm gonna set up a long run through a
Mhm.
big part of the yard so that at
Mhm.
least he can run back and forth. I'm gonna be out there with him, but I can take him
Yes.
outside for an hour and just let him run around and
Exactly. That'd be a great
be
way to
on his
expend
own.
some of that energy. Absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
because he
sorry.
definitely
Jeremy had a question.
real quick though, Wally
Yeah,
does the
yeah.
zoomies back and forth, and he does it
Oh,
so he's so strong and big that the other
yeah.
dogs. Well, we have a Chihuahua, and she's the
Mhm.
police. Like she'll
Oh,
yell at him
yes.
for doing it, and then he just
Mhm.
runs her right over, and she gets hurt. So every
Yes.
time he starts getting them, we pick her up and move her away from it. But
Oh,
he
yeah.
will.
Mhm.
So one of these times he's going to go through the window because he goes in the
Oh, jeez.
kitchen and then he cuts the loop and he jumps on we have a big leather couch. It's right in front of a window and he
Mhm.
jumps on that thing so hard it rocks it. And he does a loop
Oh
on
my
that and then
gosh.
he just goes and we just let him do
Oh,
it
I know.
because,
I know.
it's gets that energy out and he's not, anyways,
No, I
Jeremy,
get it. I get it. Cosmo and Ruthie do the same thing, and I just pick everything up afterwards. Because what are you
yeah,
gonna do?
let him get some of that energy out. And
Absolutely.
besides, you see his eyes, and he just
I
he
know.
looks crazy. He looks crazy. I call it the crazy eyes, and he gets
Yeah.
it, and he's like, and he does this weird thing
Yes.
where after he's done, he'll come sit with me, and
Mhm.
he's done with the heavy breathing, and he's fine. And I'm
Mhm.
like, dude, you're a freak, and he'll just go open his mouth really wide and go. He does this heavy breathing, just a big expel. He's just like
Mhm.
all the time,
He
even at
sounds
night
like a
when we're
real
going to bed.
character.
He'll
Mhm.
he'll he sleeps between us most of the time. So
Yeah.
when I'm telling him good night, he does the same thing. He opens his mouth really wide and just it's really weird. All right, Jeremy's great question. I love this question. Can
Okay.
I be murdered via fish tank drowning in the show? He wants to be drowned in a fish
Yeah.
tank in the show.
We could make that work. We could make that work.
This
We
question.
could probably have some sort of characters end be with a fish tank. I agree. If it's not from falling in and drowning in a big tank, I could see like some sort of electrical component going wrong
Sure.
somehow, and then somebody
Yeah.
happens to still fall into the tank, even if it's a shallower one. So yeah, yeah, we could do a fish tank death. Yeah, that could work.
Silver Creek, what's up? Whom or what sect of psychology is your favorite? And are you a philosophy nut as well?
Mhm. Yes, yes. To answer the latter question, I do love philosophy in general. In fact, I took a philosophy of religion class. Again, not to bring up religion, I'm not bringing up like the concepts behind it, but the
Sure.
professor that I had was actually a former cardinal, and actually lived in Italy. And he ended up leaving that order because he fell in love and he realized that there was more to life than just serving the clergy. So it was very fascinating to learn from him, and he was probably the most spiritual person I'd ever met. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years back. And he just lived this really fascinating, introspective life. And I attribute a lot of my I don't want to necessarily use the word faith, but I want to use the word of human resonance with him. He really made a lot of impact on me. So, yes, to answer your question about philosophy. And as far as what particular sect of psychology is concerned, I've always been a fan of behavioral psychology, in particular with animals. So, cognitive behavioral stuff, uh, comparative psychology, even where we look at different animals compared to ourselves or different people from ourselves from others, different divisions within that: abnormal psychology,
Mm.
developmental. Really, a lot of them are really fascinating and they intertwine with one another. So it's really hard to choose a definitive one. But if I absolutely had to, it probably would be somewhere between cognitive and comparative.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I don't know much at all about that, but it is definitely an interesting field. It just
Absolutely.
jumped on me. I got to scroll back up.
Sure.
Wow. Um, okay, it jumped so far. Got so far. Geez,
I was
that
just about to say, are we gonna get a Lincoln Park reference?
yeah, that's exactly what I was going through my head. I know I missed some questions, so it jumped on me, and I guess I was so far behind, or the chat is so busy tonight. Wow, there's actually 83 people in here. So
You're
wow, that
kidding.
is, yeah, that's a
Wow.
lot. So
Wow.
um, and everybody that came in, hello, thanks for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you coming in and hanging out with us and learning more about Lady R. So the first question I see after that is actually Mark's. Mark
Mhm.
Stilson says, where does Lady R see her channel going in the future? And you sort of touched on that a little bit with the
Mhm.
live stream that you're doing, but
Yeah.
is that going to be your main focus, like you said, the more the go ahead, I'll let you describe it.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So I'm still kind of developing it as I go along, but I feel like out of all of the live streams that we have available right now in the fish keeping community, and granted, it does touch a couple of nerves, so I'd like to kind of keep everything as vanilla as possible. But I do believe that to a point we should talk about socio-political impacts that are within the fish keeping community, whether that be the possibility of invasive species coming in, where do we draw the line on certain things? The glowfish industry, is it more of a toy for children as opposed to actually facilitating fish keeping, or vice versa? For the record, I'm neutral on that. I'm on the fence on both sides. I know that's playing devil's advocate, but I'm on both sides on that aspect. And all of these other facets, and talking about government control, about illegal animals coming in some areas versus others. Is this just going to be kind of a last minute dodge, especially what's been happening in Florida recently? All of that. I think that's important that we talk about it. And so to keep it neutral and not feel like I'm just lecturing and attacking people, I think that it would be more fascinating if there was a panel of people that could come on together and rotate at different times, depending on the topic. Like, for instance, one of the first ones that I'd like to do is based on the exploitation of octopus farms that are being utilized in Hawaii as a tourist trap. So on one hand, it does bring revenue in for people, and they treat it as a science research center. At least that's how they claim that they do. And they only take species of octopus that are commonly native to the area. They're not looking at, endangered species and critically, impacted ones. But at the same time, the facilities that they're keeping them in deprive them of that intellectual stimulation, and they're not able to live their more natural lives. Another argument is that, oh, we have a breeding program and we're trying to spread sponsorship to people. But then at the same time, they have them in these tiny little tidal
Hmm.
pools where people can touch them and manhandle them. And that's traumatizing, if not, fatal to a lot of them because of how
Yeah,
delicate they are. So, again, and especially since Washington now is going to enact similar measures to what Hawaii is proposing as far as octopus farms are concerned. So that was going to be a topic of discussion that I wanted to bring up: is there's pros and cons on both sides, and can we come to a consensus of what is acceptable within these parameters and still be able to help people out from an economic standpoint, versus let's not exploit the animals as well and deprive them of a natural environment? Can we reach a middle ground, or can we come to a consensus that yes, this is a good idea, or no, it's not a good idea? And we can just agree to disagree, but at least it's bringing out discussion and
sure.
educating people on these
Yeah, yeah.
issues.
I like it. and Alex does once in a while does
Yes.
touch on some of that stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it, and I definitely think there's room for that. There isn't, like Kelly Foreman on Thursday nights. She
Yes.
does that stream that's all very scientific, and she
Mhm.
talks about different things. She's very well educated about.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
Kelly's awesome.
we definitely have room for all those different types of things, and I
Mhm.
think that is some place that's underserved in our community, though. So
Mhm.
uh, I wish you all the success in that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, just to add in, we're looking at people within our fish keeping community that are from all walks of life. This isn't just for the intellects that want to
Sure.
be in it, who have, a PhD in microbiology or what have you. We need those people on the panel for sure to give us the hard, cold facts and not have biases. But it's also important to be able to have the layman be part of the conversation as well and see where they're coming from on an issue. So I think that'll be my biggest endeavor is with that. I do want to do fun live streams though too, to kind of break it up a little bit once in a
Sure.
while, like for a
Yeah, yeah.
milestone perhaps. And I also plan on posting some actual content in the form of shorts, small videos, stuff like that. But primarily
Gotcha.
it'll be that live stream.
So, and what's your style? Now, I don't think I've ever watched any of your. Do you have any content right now on your
Not right
channel?
now. No, no.
Okay, which again, that's a great example to the chat. Is I'm still looking for a lot of people to interview.
Hmm.
Lady R is a great example. I have no idea how many subscribers. She doesn't have any content,
Hmm.
but that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. She's still a very big part of this community. She has been for what's it been? Has it been a year?
Yeah,
I don't
it's been
remember.
about a year. Yeah.
Now, where
Yeah.
did I first see you? Was it in KG Tropicals
Yes,
or
yes.
okay,
Yeah, Lisa
okay,
was the gateway for sure,
okay.
because I saw your interview with Lisa, and, she always spoke so highly of you, and everybody was regarding you so well in chat that it's like, I gotta check this guy out and see what he has to offer. And, I've been hooked ever since, and then it just snowballed from there. But, I think that's a commonality for a lot of people.
And I wish there was an even better way because a lot of these bigger channels, and again, nothing against any of the bigger channels.
Yeah,
Obviously, love them, love
yeah,
KG, love the
I know.
co-op. Alex,
Yeah,
Dan, I don't Brent Bentley, all those big channels. But a lot of
yeah.
times they have their own following that's
Mhm,
in a silo that really doesn't come out here, out
mhm.
into the wilds of the community
Right,
and interact with the rest of us. So when we do
right.
have people like you that do that, I absolutely love it. And I wish there, fishfam.link is a great tool for that.
Mhm.
But a lot of the bigger channels don't mention it. They don't really talk about any other of the community channels. And
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. But I wish there was a way that we could make a lot of those people aware
Mhm.
that there's a large community here. It's
Oh,
a
I agree
huge
with you.
community,
I agree with you.
Um,
I agree.
it's there's 1,000 channels,
I
there's
know.
just so many channels, and just because somebody has a small channel doesn't mean they don't have something to offer. So,
Exactly.
um, Mark Strelson dropped a super chat, and I think it went away. So, Mark, thank you so much for that. I think I missed that during the when it jumped on me. So, all right, so I'm scrolling back down. Another one from Zenny. And again, if I didn't get to your question or you had a comment before Zen Ginger, I know a lot of you can't see the timestamps, but it says 7:58 for me, Zen Ginger. If Lady R, if you could study any other science other than the ones you've already delved into, not animals or psych,
Mhm.
what would it be? What is a field that you would love to get into that you haven't studied yet?
That
Just one, just one.
I know. That's an interesting one because unfortunately, a lot of the sciences that I'm innately interested in kind of coincide together. So biology is attributed with paleontology and oceanography and ecology, and then likewise with psychology. If you look at it from the humanitarian perspective, you've got sociology to throw in there and anthropology. In fact, anthropology is a dual thing. It can go into the biological and the humanitarians. So it's very hard for me to pinpoint one that I haven't really gotten myself immersed into that I would expand on. But I will say cosmology has always been of interest, or astronomy.
Okay,
I
yeah.
I love listening to the Cosmos or Neil deGrasse Tyson's reading those. So probably cosmology or astrology, or not astrology, but astronomy.
Yeah.
Astrology has its place. Don't get me wrong.
Is it?
I'm a proud Aries. Okay, I get it. But yeah, astronomy or cosmology, something dual like that, probably.
Gotcha. Interesting. I got into that too for it was a short while. I really got deep into meteorology. Like I was
Mm,
fascinated, and I wasn't going to do it for a living. I was already towards the end of my career. Anyways, I was getting
mm,
not. I wasn't too far away from retirement,
right.
and but I just got hooked on meteorology big time, and then that sort of went into astronomy as well. So um, I still have a couple of telescopes around. Nothing,
Very cool.
huge, but we have a few telescopes.
Yeah, I need to get one
Okay.
myself.
So again, anybody who had a question that I did not get to, or if there's anything, any comments before Zenny's, please repost it for me because it jumped and I missed it. I apologize. Only Oscar says, does Lady R, do you keep or have you ever kept an Oscar?
I want to keep Oscars. I have never
Okay.
had the pleasure, but I want Oscars eventually, especially a pair of blue Oscars and maybe a red tiger. I think they're really gorgeous fish. I just don't have the facility for that big of a tank.
Yeah.
But June, as soon as I have the ability, I'm going to hit you up. Whether it's with somebody you know or yourself, and you have some fish that you need to part with, by all means, yes, you are my go-to for Oscars for sure.
She said there's a second part to that. If not, would she keep 4 or 5?
I'd be
Did
willing
she
to
really?
have up to I think I'd be willing to have up to 4 or 5. Yeah, I definitely know that I want a pair of the blue in a tank, and then I would like to have, like I was saying, a red tiger or maybe even a lemon or something like that. I think it all just kind of depends, but you know what? I love the wild type varieties of them too. So maybe I would keep one of those. I don't know. But yes, definitely. I would love to have Oscars.
Someday.
Yes,
Someday.
someday.
I'm going to branch out too and get some bigger stuff. I think in the future. But so next up is Whip. Hi, Whip. It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you,
Um,
Whip.
so Whip's question is sort of like Crypt Keeper. Those two questions are close.
Okay.
Crypt Keeper was the one where you said you go to South Africa
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
UK. Well, Whip says, so now you've got money that you don't ever have to worry about working ever again. So for the
Yeah,
rest of your life,
yeah.
you can do whatever you want. So what are you going to do, and where are you going to do it at? So money
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about. You've got Musk money, Musk
Yes,
money.
I know. Well, I would probably do a couple of things with that. I mean, my first and foremost thing would be to open up an animal sanctuary, like I had mentioned earlier, where I could take in as many animals as I could that probably could not be rehomed properly, whether it's because they have a medical disability or a some sort of hindrance that prevents them from being adopted out, like psychologically. That would be something that I would really love to do. But I would also like to fund research for a variety of ecological impacts, whether it's to reverse global warming or to help environments that are being depleted, like cutting down rainforests or the bleaching of corals, all of those research facilities that desperately need money to reverse some of these trends that we're experiencing. So it would probably be a dual way of giving back to the animals that I love and trying to help, but also help the ecological world as a whole.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay. Next up, I see, and again, there's so many cool names here. There's 95 people, which is just
Oh my
like
god.
crazy. Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
great.
god. And
That's
I'm a
amazing.
nobody. I'm a
You're not a
nobody.
listen. You're not a nobody. You definitely are a somebody. Here's the thing, though: is we're all somebodies. There's
Oh,
all these
sure,
names
sure.
that I see. They all have stories. You know what? Every single person has said to me, I'm not interesting. Why would you want to do an interview with me? And I'm like, no, that's not true. We everybody's interesting because you're
Oh,
all
I agree.
this. You're this whole world walking around and seeing things and interacting all within
Mhm.
you, and you're your own world. Nobody else has that same world. This is all
Right.
one world, and just be able to you know see into that world just for a little bit. It's super important. So,
I agree.
anyways, Mountain Greenery, hi. Big Cat has to work tonight. We'll be joining the replay. He'd like to
Oh,
know,
nice.
because Mountain Greenery and Big Cat are a couple, and they both
Oh,
have their own
nice.
questions that they ask. And
Awesome.
Mountain Greenery, I didn't see yours, but Big Cat's is, oh yeah, I remember what hers is, and I'm going to ask it for her. But let's do Big Cat's. Do you believe in aliens?
No. No, I don't.
Really? You
No,
don't believe in the possibility of
no.
aliens?
I believe that there are alien life forms that have existed. Clearly, we have scientific evidence to support that on Mars, where we have these microorganisms. But, as far as within our own solar system, our own immediate universe, it's not feasible on the planets that we have. However,
Sure.
if we were to go beyond that, it's always a possibility. But
Okay.
as far as them
Okay.
having the technology to make communication with us, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But immediately within our universe, no. But I will say I do believe in ghosts to a certain extent. Not to the extent like I don't know if I would even say I believe in them. I'm agnostic to it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
There's some evidence that makes me question things, but there's still not enough scientific evidence for me to be totally sold on it. Like if you watch a bunch of those paranormal shows, half of them are crap,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and you can debunk them. But then there are just some things that you can't quite explain, or certain happenings that occur to people. And I'm not going to dispute that people have seen or heard something because they
Sure.
believe that it's real.
Yeah.
And whether it's rooted from something psychological or not is not for me to decide. So I try to just kind of look at it from, again, an agnostic approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a real quick commercial on
Yes.
Netflix is a movie called We Have a Ghost. I just watched it Sunday night, I think it was, with Michelle, and we loved it. It was a great
Nice.
movie. It's so if you get a chance on Netflix, We Have a Ghost. Great movie. I loved it.
Sweet.
So I'm going to ask Mountain Greenery, and maybe she already asked it or she's going to ask it later. But Mountain Greenery's question is: if you could live in any of your aquariums as, in one of the denizens of that aquarium, which would it be?
That's a hard one because I have 5 technically, but only 2 of them have occupants. So I could look at one from a theoretical standpoint, like the axolotl that I'm supposed to be getting from Roxanne and Brian. I thought it'd be really cool to just kind of have this really big dragon salamander-like creature that I could hang out with all the time, kind of like Falcor from the Neverending Story.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'll be right back. I just have a call.
No problem. No problem. I see Brother Dan. I see Med Cow. Hello. I see Melvin and Lori. Brother Dan, how are you today, sir? Sketty Nona. Whole bunch of people. Wow, we just hit 100 people. Well, I haven't hit 100 people in a stream in a very long time. So thank you, everybody. That is amazing. It's heartwarming. It means a lot to me. It really does. You don't even know how much it means. Let's see. So Petsotics, there's Diego. We'll get to your question when Lady R comes back. So that's where we're at right now. And again, Diego, thank you so much for that mug. I really appreciate it. I used it today.
Sure.
I love it. Very cool mug. And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Diego sent me one of his coffee mugs. It says, what's it say? It says better place, right? Make the world a better place, right? Is that what it says? I forgot what it says now. I just looked at it today. Very cool, though, mug. And thank you again, Diego, for sending that to me.
Sorry about that. I do
Not
have
a problem.
I do have people coming into the house, so I may have to leave for just a split second, but then I'll be right back.
Okay. And if you need to wrap it up early, it's not a problem. We got about a half an hour left, but I
no.
Okay.
No. I want to be here with you guys. I just have to make sure that I can open and close a door. In fact, I guess if you just give me a minute, I'll get Cosmo on the other side of the gate so then people can come in and I don't have to be interrupted. So I'll be back.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. There's Oinky. Hello. Black Powder. Thanks again for the super chat there. Peas and Haps. My buddy Ed. What's up, Ed? John, my fish tanks. Hello. Sky Dancer, hello. I saw you've been here since the beginning. Jeff Kane, what's happening? Lady Metalhead, Jess. Jess, I saw your response, and I'm glad you're starting to feel a little bit better. She's not feeling too hot. Silver Creek, hello. Geek Boy, thank you for dropping those links. Thank you, mods, for doing all that. I better not scroll too far, though, because I'm going to miss the question. Let's scroll back up a little bit and say some more highs. Barbara Jackson, hello. Barbara Jackson, we got to get you up here, too, some point. We got to get you up here, too. So many people. Again, my email address is at the top of the screen up there, very top. Rico at RicoStan. I really want some more people to add to my list. Let me just tell you who I currently have for the focus-ons. We have Maritza, who is Mike B's wife. We got to meet her at the Clash. We've got Mark Sturlson and Myrick. Pegasus Arena. Oh, Barbara Jackson, you did send me an email. You're on my list. We got you right there. Atomic Injections, Sharpie, Big Shrimpin, Dolbeck, again, who's been on the list forever. We got to get him up here soon. Snoochie Booch and Sarah Sieber. I don't think I forgot anybody. Josh Metalhead, we were just talking last night too. He's going to be on too. We got to get him up here. But that's all I currently have on my list. So if you would like to be on the focus on, please send me an email and let me add you to the list. And again, it doesn't matter if you have 1 million subscribers or no subscribers or anywhere in between. All that really matters is that you guys are a part of our fish fam, that you hang out in these streams and stuff. Oh, Terry's Tropical Tanks is also on that list. I forgot. Terry's Tropical Tanks will also be up here pretty soon too. But I want to interview everybody, all you guys that are parts. You know, Diego, Melvin, Regina, June. You know, there's so many people. We're not even. This is number 89. Hold on, I can go look. And this will probably be close to accurate. I think it's pretty accurate. Let's see. This is number 88, I believe. There's still 150 channels at least to go. At least. I would say there's probably closer to like 350 channels that still I would love to interview. I just want to go through the entire community and have, 10 years worth of interviews with people, and people can go look at them and learn more about all these different people in our community. So, okay, let's see. I got to get back down to where was that question? Okay. So I think the next one up is Diego's question right at 8 o'clock. So let's see. Hopefully I'm going to not lose it because I'm scrolling back down a little bit. It just dinged on me. So something came in and I wanted to see what it was. Oh, there's Mark Stilson's super chat. Thank you. Scotty the Fish Freak. I was thinking about you, Scotty. I haven't seen you around. So you're going to be up with Scruffy in 30 minutes. Very cool. Hope you're doing well. And there's Fish Fam Mom. Hello, Susan. Okay, there's Skipper. Hi, Skip. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back up now and get to the question. I'm afraid that I lost it. I'm just seeing some of the questions really quick, and I love them. Oh, I did. Oh, that sucks. Okay, Diego's question was, what is the favorite dinosaur? But I've lost it since then. The next one I see is Eduardo. Again, if you see the timestamps, it's 8:15. Eduardo's saying hi to Fish Dreams and hi Fish Dreams. Fish Dreams. Scotty Aquati, hello. So I missed any questions between there. It jumped on me again, and I'm so far behind that I missed any of them. So if you asked your question before Eduardo's hello or at Fish Dreams with the XOXOXO, the hugs and kisses, please just repost it for me. And I'm not going to scroll. I'm not going to touch anything. So, hi. What you wearing?
I'm so sorry. I'm back.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Although it jumped on me a couple
Yeah, I
times, so
know. I just know that cuts in our time. Yeah.
I missed some questions. So no, the
Okay.
chat jumped on me, so I lost a lot of them. The last
Okay.
one I remember seeing was from our buddy Diego, and he wants to know, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah. The problem is that there's too many of them to choose from. I mean, for me, Parasaurolophus is one that comes to mind, or one of the hadrosaurs with those really ornate crests. Um, I do also really like the Tyrannosaurs a lot. I know that that's a cliche answer for a lot of people. And but primarily though, I think my favorite, if I had to choose one, would be Brontosaurus. And for the record, for the dinosaur fans that are out there, Brontosaurus is a real thing. Check out the 2013 paper by Bacher et al. And it's proven that it is sister taxon to Apatosaurus. So technically, Brontosaurus is still alive, even though a lot of people have said, oh, no, it's not. It's not real. But if you want to argue the whole Brontosaurus debate, I'll say Diplodocus, because it's all in the same family. They're sister species.
And what is it about that attracts you to it, that makes it your favorite? What is it that makes that one stand out for you?
I wonder if it's just because growing up, Land Before Time was really big in the late 80s, early
Yeah.
90s, and especially the first movie. The rest of them are garbage. Let's just put it that way. But Littlefoot always resonated with me as a character, and I still have my Littlefoot plushie, I think, somewhere. So that's probably why, deep down. But I also just find them fascinating as far as just the massive sizes that they were able to get due to the oxygen levels being so high during the Jurassic Age, when Diplodocus and Brontosaurus and the like, Camarasaurus, Brachiosaurus, a lot of those resided. So that's probably why. Even though
Gotcha.
they
That makes sense.
even though they weren't intellectual giants, I just think that that's just what's so impressive about them, and that they proliferated for as long as they did.
Gotcha. Good answer. Good answer. Okay. And Coral said, I found you because of June. She always smokes so highly of you. That's good. That's good, Coral. There's Dr. Awesome. He wants to know if what is one animal that you don't keep currently that you would like to have?
That's a difficult one.
Well, you said chickens, but there's a reason. You will have those again.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've always wanted to have ducks. I just think ducks are really charming little animals. As far as something a little bit more complex, I've always wanted horses. In particular, rescuing a couple wild mustangs. In fact, the U.S. government has a program that you can be a part of where you can actually buy wild mustangs that they're trying to, I don't want to use the word cull, but they try to remove from the wild because they're so densely populated now. For the longest time, they weren't. So, just to be able to give an animal like that, not to break it or tame it or anything, to ride it, but just to be able to gain trust with that animal that's, seen trauma and has been separated from its family. I think that would be very rewarding. Donkeys also. Donkeys are highly abused in a lot of industries. So probably some sort of equid. That would probably be my choice.
Very nice. Okay, I'm scrolling down. And Diego has another question. Do you like modern day dinosaurs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love birds. Yeah,
He
absolutely.
put reptiles, and I was going to mention that. I was going to mention that because we think that, right, that we don't think, but the descendants are birds as opposed to reptiles, right?
Absolutely.
From dinosaurs.
Right. Technically, dinosaurs are part of a clade called Archosauria. And if I remember correctly, not only does that encapsulate birds, which are their modern descendants, but the crocodilians as well. So alligators, crocodiles, gharials.
Oh, okay.
Gharials are my favorite crocodilian by far. I just love those long snouts that they have that just come to a fine point with that bulbous end. I just think they're so comical. But yes, I love modern day dinosaurs. I love the squamates, so things like lizards that you would atypically think of, like leopard geckos, bearded dragons, all of that stuff. I love those as well. Pretty much anything cold-blooded, really, I love. I love snakes too. I think they're awesome.
I've never kept any. Yeah. Well, I've had birds, but I mean, never any of the other stuff. All right. Zen Ginger. Now this one's tough, and she asks this one quite often.
Mhm.
But so the rest of your life
Mhm.
in 5 words, the rest of your life as you really
Yeah.
want it, that ideal life that's just perfect in 5 words.
If I can only come up with it so in like so articulately. Let me think. To educate and inspire others. I could probably
Excellent.
come up with something a little bit more
Oh,
poetic, but that's just what's immediately coming to mind.
I like it. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And then Zen Ginger again, prison rules. I like that she always puts the prison rules.
Hmm.
Your last meal. What would
That
it be?
that easily would be a baked ham that my grandmother has a recipe for. That you know slice it and serrate it a little bit prior to putting it in the oven to score it, and you treat it with, well, I'm not going to tell you the secret because it's a secret recipe, but let's just say there's a special concoction, a sauce that's made out of it, and it literally makes a gravy. And you usually wouldn't attribute that with ham. Ham usually doesn't make a gravy of some kind, but it's like liquid gold. Just put that on like a really nice buttered roll or mashed potatoes, and that's probably my perfect meal. And as for a vegetable on the side, anything from asparagus, broccoli, wilted greens. I love a lot of dark greens, so anything like that.
Me too. Me too. That sounds delicious. That sounds delicious. Oinky. Oinky's up next. Um, she says, many hugs for you both. I consider myself a
Oh,
true cinephile, lover of many genres of film. Do you have a favorite individual film and movie genre? Individual film and movie.
that's a hard one. That's a
Well,
hard one.
it seems like it's a two-part, if I'm understanding. Do you have a
Hmm.
favorite individual film
Hmm.
and then movie genre? I don't know. Maybe she's asking one. Let's go with the first. So,
Hmm.
do you have one favorite movie, and then do you
That's
have like
hard.
a genre that you really like too?
That is so hard. If I had to choose a favorite film, oh, jeez, there's so many of them. I'll go with either North by Northwest because that's the best Hitchcock film in my opinion. Cary Grant is phenomenal in it, and it just has all of those elements that you need. It has suspense, it has humor, it has a little bit of romance. It's just the right dichotomy. Or Some Like It Hot. I love that
Hmm.
movie. Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe. Either one of those probably is my favorite film if I have to be, on the spot about it. But really, there's so many films that I love. And as far as genre is concerned, I love suspense thrillers. That's probably my favorite. Psychological thrillers in particular.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are definitely my favorites because I think there's a lot of character nuance to them. But, I can find a delightful romantic comedy kind of fun, or I love documentaries, but I don't think that really counts so much as a like film. If we're looking at fictional, if we're talking about nonfiction, though, like if that's in the dichotomy, yeah, documentaries are also in my top tier.
We differ greatly there because I'm in the more Dumb and Dumber type.
Mhm.
That's where I live.
Hey, there's
I like
nothing
those.
wrong with that. There's
I
merit to
love
it.
dumb, lowbrow movies that are just stupid. I absolutely love them.
Hey, there's nothing wrong
Chattanooga
with that.
Ed. Chattanooga Ed wants to know if you'd rather eat at Rico's Pizzeria or Rico's Taco Stand because he just went
Mm,
to he sent me a picture. There's a local place that Actually, that's spelled Ricco's. I think it was
Oh.
Ricko Pizzeria. I think he went there. I think he said he was going to go today.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
that's why he's asking. So I guess would you rather go to if I had a pizza place or a taco
Mhm.
stand? Which one would you rather go to?
You
I would
know,
wear a hairnet. I would wear a hairnet.
of no, no, I wasn't thinking about health code violations at all. No, I'm just thinking about preferences. You know, Mexican and Italian, I'm just kind of meh about. I actually prefer a lot of,
Really?
yeah, I actually like a lot of Asian cuisine
Yeah.
and a lot of like European style stuff. But I do like a really good burrito once in a while, especially with like a carne asada sort of thing. Not like ground beef. I prefer like a shredded beef that you
Yeah.
use out of a chuck roast or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's always good. But then, you know, sometimes you're just craving pepperoni pizza. So, um, I don't
I
know.
like it
Maybe
all. I like it
I
all. I
know,
like
I
all of
know.
it. There's hardly
I
any food I don't like.
I'll
Really.
kind of I'll go ahead and side with the pizzeria just because I love cheese sticks and breadsticks and chicken wings, and usually there's a variety of different things at an Italian restaurant. And
Yeah.
like I said, how can you beat pepperoni pizza?
My favorite pizza is sausage, jalapenos, and
Mm,
pineapples.
that is really good. That is really good. My
That's
favorite
my
has to
favorite.
be a barbecue chicken. Barbecue
That's good
chicken,
too. Yeah.
yeah, with lots of mixed onions, both red and white onion. I don't skimp on the onions. I love them.
With
With
a red sauce or like a garlic sauce.
either one, I prefer the
Yeah.
garlic sauce.
Yeah.
But the red sauce though does work.
Yeah.
Add some peppers on it, especially jalapeno peppers. That would be really good.
I'm gonna have to eat as soon as we're done here.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't.
gotta eat too. Actually, people brought food, so I gotta go
Oh,
eat in a little
nice.
bit.
Well, we got 15 minutes left, and I'm not going to make it to the bottom. I'm sure I never do these days. But next up is Melvin. Hi, Melvin. If you were to get into the saltwater hobby,
Mhm.
what saltwater fish would you keep? Don't worry about money too. He said
Oh
if it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
expensive, but don't worry
right.
about money. If you were to get into it, which one would you
Yeah,
like to
in an
keep?
idealistic situation, yeah. I've always wanted to keep seahorses. I think
Oh yeah,
seahorses are really beautiful and wonderful.
yeah,
I know Zenny and I have talked about that at a great extent about having seahorses. That would definitely be something that I would love. I love soft corals. I just like the fact that they just kind of flow a little bit in the breeze, and actually that really works well, I think, with seahorses because they need something to attach to and they get that current movement that is satiating to them. But then there's another fish. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe Zen would know which one it is. But I know that Ian Atkins Nature Aquariums, he has one. And it's just this cute little small fish. Maybe it's a goby of some kind. And it kind of has this triangular point at the end and at the top of its head. And it's red and white, if I remember correctly. And I just thought that was the cutest little fish. So maybe a couple of those with some seahorses and some soft corals.
nice. Seahorses, I'm with you on those, definitely.
Hmm.
Oh, Oinky, I almost missed it, Oinky, because it doesn't stand out if you don't do the at Rico stand. You did the at Rico, and it doesn't really pop for me, so I almost missed it, and I probably missed some other ones that had that same type of thing. Um, let's see. She says if you adopt a piggy, when you
Yes.
both adopt a piggy, if you want to name her after me, that's absolutely cool with me.
Yes, absolutely. You know I'm
That's okay.
definitely gonna name a piggy after you. Definitely. And I would love to have some rescue pigs. I think that they would be great. Not only just pot-bellied pigs, but pigs that maybe would be rescued from, you know, an abusive farm situation. Definitely all for that. I'm even open to the prospect of going to an auction house and technically buying an animal that would be up for slaughter, whether it's a cow or a pig or whatever, and just take it home with me and pardon it essentially and just say,
Yeah.
hey, no, you're not going to end up on a dinner plate.
We have a couple of those places near us. There's one that's Lollipop Farms, and there's Cracker Box Palace,
Hmm.
and both places are rescues for pretty much everything. But they have
Yeah.
a lot of farm animals. They have cows, but they also have dogs.
Hmm.
They've got
Yeah.
chickens. They've got pretty much everything you name it. Both places.
Yeah.
They're both working farms, but they're both
Hmm.
non kill no
Yeah.
kill places, and
Yeah.
they pretty much take everything at the farm. Hi,
Mhm.
Kelly Foreman. Mike
Kelly!
Bean says, if you could have invented something that already exists, what would it be? So you were the first
Hmm.
person. So something that you just absolutely love, that you would have
Mhm.
been the one, you would love to have been the one to invent that.
And take the credit for it.
Sure, and
Um,
everything else that goes with it.
yeah, that's a hard one. That's a really hard one. I can't really think of anything immediately off the top of my head, unless we're talking about, like, curriculum, perhaps. I mean, does it have to be technological?
Anything you want. Anything you want.
Well,
Yeah.
then
It
I
can
I
be
I guess if I was part of some curriculum or some sort of research that was developed and helped discover those findings for a particular thing, whether it be from an ecological or psychological component, that would probably be it. If I have to come up with something a little bit more tangible, oh, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Probably a very blasé answer would be the internet. I don't know.
I'm going to go with the toilet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would have liked to been so people could say I got to go take a Rico, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's where I would, just to balance your great answer with my toilet answer.
Hey,
There's
there's
Skipper.
nothing
Hi,
wrong with that.
Skipper. And Dr. Awesome wants me to check for the email. I will. I will, sir. Um, let's see. And we've got 10 minutes left. So I'm
Okay.
scrolling. Steel Rain, member for 14 months. No wrapping up early. Steel Rain, did you change your name? I'm drawing a blank. But you've been a member for 14 months. You had to be somebody that changed your name. How do I not remember your name? I that's because if I do, oh, that makes me feel like crap. Because I don't recall. Oh, Steel Rain. I remember now. I remember who that is. Okay, it's Whip, right? It's Whip's second account. That's what it was. Okay. Um, Vibes Aquatics, $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Vibes. He says, just remember to smash the like button. And I'm scrolling down. There's Susan saying hi. Med Cow's got to go down to the hotel bar. Good for you, buddy. Have you ever, Steel Rain wants to know if you've ever done anything extreme, like jumping out of a perfectly good airplane or bungee jumped or any of those types of things?
No, no, none of that. I'm
Any interest in it?
No, no, I'm deathly afraid of heights. So no, nothing like that. No, I'm not into extreme stuff by any means.
Yeah. Lori said, should I do a focus on? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
You very
Lori would
much
be
should,
awesome.
Lori. Yes. Would love to. Kelly Foreman says, I've heard Lady Rorschach is getting an axolotl. You talked about that from Pooplin
Yes.
and Foxanne.
Yeah.
Have you named your new friend yet?
Technically speaking, it's Lucy. It's one of the original axolotls that was hatched during the live stream. So her given name is Lucy at the moment, and I do love the name. But I am also contemplating about possibly at least giving her a middle name that's more mermaid-esque. But I haven't pinpointed it just yet. So
Okay.
I'll keep you posted on that.
And will you call her Lucy when you say her name? What do you think? You have to wait and see what the middle name is, right? See how it
Exactly.
fits. Yeah,
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 I think
gotcha,
so.
gotcha. And welcome back, Kelly Foreman. I'm glad you had a nice, safe trip, and I hope
Yes.
you feel recharged. Wow, a
Yes.
whole bunch of membership ones. We got 8 minutes left. Um, sorry, it jumped on
Oh
me
no, you're fine.
again. Um, okay. Fish Streams. Hi, Fish Streams. That's where I'm at right now. I might have been missing some more, but again, there's like 7 minutes left, so I'm trying to get most of them in.
Sure.
So she wants to know where you got your education at.
I'd prefer not to disclose that just
Okay,
because it's a geographical thing, but
not a
in the
problem.
area, let's just put it that way.
And Brooklyn Bell, and that's not a problem. And again, that's a great example for anybody else who's maybe on the fence about not coming up for the focus on. It's all about you guys being comfortable. So if you don't want to answer something, you don't want to talk about something, that's all you got to say. And there's no judgment, there's no anything. You guys decide. So again, if that's holding somebody back that they don't want to talk about certain things, we won't get into it if you don't feel comfortable doing it. It's all
But
about your comfort.
I do appreciate the question, so thank you for asking. And I did enjoy my time there.
Brooklyn Bell, she said, I'm lurking, but I have to shower. You all don't let them forget my question. And her question is, do you have any weird physical traits? Is there anything weird you can do? Can you wiggle your ears? Can you pop an eye out? I mean, is there anything strange that you can do? Okay.
No, nothing like that. Sorry to disappoint you.
Hey, Kenny. Kenny came in. This thing keeps beeping over here. I know you guys can't hear it, but I get these notifications. Coral says, what's the most controversial film that you love?
That's a good question. I'd have to think about that one. I mean, Michael Moore's films immediately come to mind. I enjoy Michael Moore a lot as a director and as a filmmaker. So that would be one that would kind of fall into the documentarian side, but technically controversial films. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. So maybe answer that in part 2.
That's a good answer. Yeah, and we'll definitely add you to the list for the part 2. And Zenny, I did miss your MacGyver Survivor question. I'm sorry. Okay, scrolling down more, and Zen Ginger says she doubt I'll make it to this again. Okay, 5 items that you can grab from your craft toolbox. If she were to be deserted, so you're going to be alone on a desert island for a month, and you get to take 5 items from your craft toolbox. Which 5 items do you think be the most useful?
Right. So definitely practical stuff would come to mind. I have a pair of really thick, kind of like loppers or bolt cutters that I would definitely be utilizing for breaking down certain things. Probably some sort of like tweezer or something in case I end up getting something stuck in like my foot or something to be able to remove out of. That could be a dual purpose thing. Maybe some sort of, I'm wondering if maybe I would bring some of my elastic band material that I would use from bracelets in order to fasten things together, perhaps to make a raft so I could get off the island. That would be something perhaps that would come to mind. Geez, I don't know. I'm trying to think about, that's 3. I'm trying to think of 2 more that would be feasible.
Gotta have a bag of glitter. That's gotta be.
Yeah, never mind. There's no survivability aspect with the glitter there.
Yeah, but
I know Annette would probably go for it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some paint to be able to try to make a help sign. If you the cliche, of course, is that you make a help sign in the stand, but eventually that'll be washed away or destroyed. So if you were able to come up with something tangible, even if I don't have a paintbrush, I could just use a finger and just write help on a piece of board that I'm able to put together. That would probably be something. And trying to think, I don't know, maybe some wire, because I use it a lot, not only for like jewelry wrapping, but for the paper mache crafts that I make. I use a wire skeleton in them, so probably wire would be of use for whether it's binding something or just having something structured to make into something else.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably the most useful. I mean, you could so many different things you could put together. Even your housing, for the month.
Absolutely.
Craig would like to know if you could talk a little bit about the amazing necklace that you have on.
Oh, this actually was just something that we found in a junk lot. It was just thrown away aside, and the only thing that was missing was that one of the jump rings was taken off. So I just put a jump ring back on it, and that's all there is to it. So it's just an upcycled piece.
Nice. Okay. I might get to the bottom here because I'm not seeing a whole lot. Okay, got the Brooklyn Bell question. Bunny Viper says you rocked to you.
That's
Love you,
kind. Thank
bestie.
you, Ivy. Thank you.
And we got Brookley's Geek would like, the Brookley like Steven said, hi Steven. Steven, so Geek Boy said a few times that Brookley wanted her question asked. And then Steven said Geek would like you to know that Brookley would like her question answered.
Of course.
And Zen Ginger said hi or thank you to both of us.
Very nice.
And
Thank
she
you, Zen.
says, so good to see you, girl.
Yeah, it's good to see you in the chat anyway, Zen. Come on, you gotta come up. If I can do it, you can do it.
Someday, but Zen Ginger has promised that the very first time she does a live stream where she shows her face and stuff, that it
Yeah.
would be with James
Oh,
from Fishing with
nice.
Fever. But
Nice.
I'm definitely on the list because we've been talking for a long time about getting her to come up. And
Very cool.
again, no pressure for anybody. So Kelly Foreman paid $10 to make sure that we saw the Kelly question or the Brookley question.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you so
sweet of
much.
you, Kelly. Thank you.
Nano Aquarium guy, hey Jay, he would like to know what's your favorite YouTuber outside of the Fish fam?
That's a hard one. It really is
You watch
because
a lot?
yeah, I actually do watch a lot of content, whether it's people doing film reviews, people who just do funny little quips, a lot of farm based content because I love farming and gardening. I actually didn't even get to mention that I love gardening, especially like vegetable garden stuff. So people like Goldshaw Farm, White House on the Hill, those are ones that come to mind. But then if I want just something fun and slapstick of Scott Kramer. I think he's an absolute riot. If you haven't checked out his content, he just kind of does a video on whatever. He's hilarious. I just love him. I love Mama Dr. Jones, with OBGYN stuff. She's hilarious, but also very informational for women's health. So I really like her a lot. I won't get into the political ones, but there are some political ones that I follow. There's some media ones that I follow as well. A lot of science-based channels like Dapper Dinosaur and Guts at Gibbon. Highly love them as well.
Oh, you do have a
And
lot.
yeah, there's quite a few of them.
I have two that's outside the Fish fam. I have two. Foxanne, hi. She says Lucy will be home soon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to Lucy so much, and I know she's going to be loved. We're going to love her to pieces.
Jess, Lady Metal. Oh, we're going to make this the last question.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we're right at 2 hours right now, and I know that Scruffy City Mitch is going right now, so we don't want to go over. So, Lady Metalhead wants to know, unless it was already answered when I stepped away, but what's your favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh, favorite guilty pleasure. I love ragging on Hallmark films. My
kids do that.
My mother and my sister and I actually do a thing every year at Christmas time, in particular, where we will rank them in level of bad to tolerable. And every year we have to mix it up a little bit and then look at last year's list and say, okay, well, based on this ranking, where do we put them? So that's probably one of my best guilty pleasures.
Gotcha. My youngest son and my daughter, just around Christmas time, they love to watch those movies. And before it starts, they'll say, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
And it's usually, spot on. So
yeah, exactly.
I did miss a ton of questions, but again, we did 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I love that the chat's so engaged. Thank you guys so much. There was a ton of people here tonight. Thank you for all the membership stuff and the super chats. And thanks for asking all the questions so that we could learn more about Lady R. We'll definitely put you on the list for the second ones, but who knows when that'll be, because again, we've been doing this for 2 years, I think now.
Oh, wow.
And, we're nowhere. We're nowhere. You're number 88, I believe. And there's probably 1,000 still to go. So
I know. I get
the
that.
second one will take a long time. So before we go, though, is there anything that you'd like to tell us that we missed out on, or anything channel wise or promotional for your store, Etsy store, anything at all? Feel free to take a minute or two and talk about it if you like.
Sure, just quickly. So, I am going to be posting some new content on the Etsy shop soon enough. It's just been taking me a little bit of while between, familial obligations and holiday stuff and health stuff. I'm just getting back on the bandwagon with that. If anybody is interested, though, in a purchase, I have a specific percentage coupon code for all FishFam members. It's FishFam THX10 for 10% off of any order. I know I sound like I'm doing an infomercial.
No, but
So
that's good. That's all right.
yeah,
That's
so
fine.
anyone
Yeah.
can apply that. There's no expiration pending, and you can use it on multiple orders. There's no limitation on it. So that is eligible for you guys specifically. And I will hopefully be able to also put up my Vivi shop soon. I'm trying to get that all put together, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. And yeah, just hopefully I'll be able to have some live stream content available in the foreseeable future. So thank you guys for being interested in me. And Rico, thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, thank you for hanging out with me for 2 hours. Now, if people do want to get a hold of you to talk about any of the Etsy stuff or anything like that, what's the best way for them to get? Discord? Is that the best way, or what's best for you?
Discord would probably be the fastest way if you can message me on Discord. If you don't have Discord, though, go to fishfam.link, and my email address is available. I also have Instagram. I'm not that consistent on Instagram, but you can contact me that way. And if you also have a question on Etsy, just go to the Gypsy Canada shop page. That's my shop's name. And you can send a private convo or message, and I will respond to you as soon as I can that way, too.
Awesome. And you know, you guys, you mods, thank you so much.
Yes,
they've been dropping links like crazy and keeping up on all that. We couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you so much for everything you guys do. And you know what? I'm going to give you a 50% raise. You guys are going to make 50% more. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Guys.
And we will see you. So I don't actually have Saturday scheduled yet. I've got to send out some emails. We're going to do another focus on this coming Saturday, but I'm not sure yet who that is going to be. And then the following Tuesday as well. So lots of good streams still tonight. So make sure you go to fishfam.link and take a look. You know, you got a whole bunch of good ones still. So we'll see you guys later.
Take care, guys.